Both of them now charged with murder after a double killing that sent shockwaves through the city. The 19-year-old Javier Bolden, they pick him up in Palmdale.
Welcome to Boys in the Hood TV. Today we're going to be discussing the life of Javi from the Black Pea Stone jungles, who will go down for a double murder and attempted murder in 2012. Now, Javier Bolden, also known as Javi, was born on August 29th, 1992 in South Central Los Angeles. He will be raised along with his siblings to two loving parents. But the street life wasn't anything new to the Bolden family, as his father had already spent time in prison long before Javi was born. Now, Javi will be raised in the notorious Baldwin Village section known as the Jungles. Now, the Black Pea Stones have been in control of this section since the 70s. Now, over the past decades, this gang has developed a very violent reputation in the streets of Los Angeles. Now, at an early age, Javi would suffer a major loss with the death of his father and also his baby sister. Now, with the loss of his father, his mother did the best that she could, but Javi would eventually begin running the streets and affiliating with the Black Pea Stone members from the jungles. He would find himself getting into trouble and getting into fights and beefing with rival sets. But eventually, Javi will get his put on to the jungles. But by the age of 18, Javi will become extremely active as a frontline member of BPS. On February 12, 2012, a party was being held near the USC campus at the Guard Banquet Hall. Now, at the time, there were over 100 guests in attendance, which included students from USC. Now, sometime around midnight, Javi and other members from the Bloods would pull up to this party. Now, the moment Javi showed up, he was turned and looking for trouble. As Javi walked in, he nearly bumped into a female named Tamara. Now, when he did this, he didn't say excuse me, but her brother named Dion would step to Javi and let him know that he nearly hit his sister. Now, as Dion is confronting Javi, without saying a word, Javi would punch Dion straight in his face, and both men would start squabbling. And this would lead to an all-out brawl with multiple people jumping into the fight. But eventually security will kick everybody out the party, leaving everybody out on the street. Now, once outside, Dion's sister, Tamara, and her friend named Flowers will get into a fight with a group of females. Now, as Dion headed in the direction of his sister, that's when Javi will walk up to Dion and say, "Who you?" And out of nowhere, Javi pulled out a strap and opened fire. He would shoot Dion in the back of the head, and the bullet would come through his eye socket. The second shot, he would shoot Dion in his stomach, and the bullet would go through his back. Now, as Dion lay collapsed on the ground, everyone outside would start running, and Zanae Flowers, who came to the party with Dion and his sister, would be shot as well, but in her leg as she tried to flee. And after all the smoke cleared, Javi had already fled the scene. Both Flowers and Dion would survive their injuries, but Dion would lose the ability to speak and have permanent brain damage and suffer from paralysis, and he would require around-the-clock treatment. Now, once officers arrived on scene, they would find 9mm shell casings on the sidewalk. But at this point, they had no real leads, and the only evidence they had was the shell casings. Now, 2 months will go by, and on April 12th, Javi, along with the Grape Street Crip named BJ, will be riding through LA looking for somebody to jack. They would drive down to the Adams and Normandy section near the USC campus. Now, while driving, they would spot a 2003 BMW parked on the 2700 block of Raymond Avenue. Inside this vehicle were two USC students named Ming and Wu. Now, both students had just left campus and headed back to Wu's apartment. But because it was heavily raining outside, they both decided to sit in the car and talk and wait until the rain would settle down. Now, as they sat inside talking, Javi and BJ would hop out their car and they would run up to the BMW with guns drawn. Immediately, Javi would tell Wu and Ming to get out the car, but before they can get a chance to even do anything, both Javi and BJ would open fire. They would let off multiple shots. Now, Wu will be hit twice in her chest, and Ming will be hit once behind the ear, directly in the head. Immediately, Javi and BJ would then steal both of their cell phones from the car and then flee the scene. Now, Ming, who was critically injured, would manage to get out of the car and run to a nearby house and try to get help. But sadly, he would collapse on the steps while bleeding out. But a next-door neighbor will come running outside and see Ming bleeding on a nearby porch. Immediately, he will call 911.
Just about a mile off the campus of USC, the BMW still right in the middle of the street. Skiers were inside when they were shot dead. We now know the motive: robbery. Robbery is what led to this double killing.
People have a right to come to this city from anywhere in the world.
Now, officers will find 2 9mm shell casings inside the car near the passenger side, and they will find 2 more shell casings just a few feet away from the car on the pavement. They will begin to interview witnesses, but no one was able to identify any of the shooters because both men were wearing dark hoodies. Now, once the investigators realized the victims' iPhones had been taken, they will begin tracking the phones. At around 1 a.m., not long after the murder, Wu's cell phone would ping near the Jordan projects. And then around 6 a.m. to 11 a.m., Wu's cell phone would ping once again near the Jordan projects. As the police continue to investigate, they will be able to narrow it down to Brian Barnes, aka BJ, from Grape Street. Police will eventually get a warrant to wiretap to listen to BJ phone calls. One of the phone calls in particular, BJ will be talking to Javi and asking him if he remember shooting and robbing the little Asian people. Now, investigators will continue to watch BJ, and eventually they would arrest BJ at a cell phone store in Compton, where they will recover the victim's Wu iPhone, which he still had in his possession. And only a few days later, police would arrest Javi also. Now, once in police custody, the police will begin questioning Javi, who initially refused to answer any questions, and he even began to laugh at the detectives. But once the detectives mentioned that he could face the death penalty, Javi decided to begin talking. He would tell detectives that he, BJ, and his cousin named Terrell were all present at the time of the shooting, but he would claim that they only planned on robbing the victims, but BJ opened fire, killing both of them. But also during questioning, police would ask Javi about the shooting that took place at the USC party back in February, but Javi would claim that he had no idea about any shooting. Now, after this interrogation, detectives will place Javi in a cell with an informant. Javi would tell the informant about the shooting that took place back in February. He would claim that he ran into a rival gang member and shot the dude multiple times. He will also admit that he and BJ tried to jack 2 Asian people, but BJ started blasting, shooting both victims. But he would actually admit himself to letting off 1 shot, but that the shot he let off did not break the window. Now, he would go on to admit that after the murders, they would get rid of the evidence by selling the guns. But by the time of the trials, BJ initially pleaded not guilty, but once he realized that the death penalty was on the table, he would agree to a plea deal of pleading guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder. And ultimately, BJ would be sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. Now, Javi, on the other hand, would stick to not pleading guilty and decided to go to trial. But not only was Javi facing 2 counts of first-degree murder, he was also facing an attempted murder charge of the shooting of Dion and Zanae Flowers, whom he shot back at the party back in February of 2012. Now, witnesses would take the stand that were in attendance at the USC party, and they would testify that Javi came to the party looking for trouble. They would also identify Javi, who shot and paralyzed Dion and also shot Flowers in the leg. Now, as for the double murder of the USC students, Wu and Ming, the prosecution would play the wiretap between Javi and Holden, where they would speak about the shooting and robbing of the Asian students. They would then proceed to play the interrogation tape where Boda admitted to detectives of the robbing and shooting of both victims. The last piece of evidence the prosecution will present will be the jail cell audio of Javi bragging to the informant about shooting up the USC party in February and also bragging about the murder of the 2 Asian USC students. But ultimately, in the end, Javier Bowden, aka Javi, would be found guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder and also a fire enhancement charge. In the end, Javier Bowden will be sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. I would like to thank everybody for tapping in, and I'll see y'all next time.